Hello there, Lunar Squadron, and welcome back to the channel. Today is a very exciting day as the Marvel Spider-Man 2 Be Greater Together trailer was officially released, and today we are going to be doing a good old-fashioned Lunar Squadron frame-by-frame breakdown. Now, some of you may be asking, wait, didn't you guys already break this trailer down? And the answer is both yes and no. Yes, insofar as this footage did come out last week and we broke it down. However, that footage was actually leaked footage when we thought it was footage that had been released in Brazil. And out of respect for Insomniac and the devs and everyone over there, we decided to take that breakdown down. Also, this brand new one actually has 30 seconds of additional footage, so there's a bunch of new stuff to break down, and we really loved the discussion and breakdown that we had last week, so we really wanted to just sit down and do this over the right way this time. So that is exactly what we are going to do. But before we do that, if you're new to the channel, we would love to have you as always, and the way to do that, just go down below this video, hit that little subscribe button, the bell notification right on next to it. It will notify you every single time that Andreas and I upload. Now with that out of the way, Andreas, are you ready to break this trailer down for real this time?
Oh yeah, Nick, let's be greater together. Now, before we get into the nuts and bolts of this breakdown, I first off want to be crystal clear that this breakdown is of a CGI trailer. As you can see in the bottom of the screen here, it says very clearly that it is not actual gameplay, and so I just want to make that perfectly clear for everybody that we are not doing a gameplay breakdown here. This is not even a recording of cutscenes in the game. This is a CGI trailer. Nick, this is something that we've seen for different Sony exclusives in the past, and generally when we look at these kinds of things, we know that perhaps the final product will not end up looking like this. The story that is portrayed in this trailer might be a little bit different when we interact with the story in the actual game, but the general gist of what is going on in this trailer is going to be the general gist of what we are going to play through in the game, and it should give us a general sense of what to expect with the game, because this is marketing material after all, right?
Yep, that is exactly what we've seen Sony and PlayStation do in the past with all of their exclusive games over the last 10 years. Now, I know, Andreas, you wanted me to point out The Last of Us Part 2 having a cinematic trailer like this, mainly because you have it downloaded on your computer and wanted to include it in this edit, but that is exactly what games like The Last of Us 2 do. These CGI trailers, they look fantastic. They just look like such incredible story-driven things, but they're never completely in context with how the story of this game is going to go. They just provide contextual clues as to how we could expect the story to go. So I just think that is an important disclaimer to get into before we get into this breakdown. Just make sure people understand that this is CGI, this is an actual gameplay from this game, but I think that is pretty clear as we go through this. So we start off with this awesome shot of Peter and Miles coming to the scene of what the hell is going on. Of course, we get to see Peter break out the web wings, the new traversal mechanic, and we get to see Miles swinging there in the forefront. So it's cool to see both methods of traversal being used by our heroes. Of course, it looks like the web wings here are like this grayish black variant of the web wings. I am interested to see how many different variants of the web wings we do see in this game. Of course, we know that with some of the suits, the web wings will change. So I'm just excited to see how they change from suit to suit. And the interesting thing I find about this little sequence, Andreas, is that Venom is already here, like, messing stuff up. Like, you could see him tossing cars in the background, like he's really pissed off. Now, of course, this doesn't provide, like we said, exactly what's going on in the story, but I just find it interesting, like, why is Venom here in the middle of the day in New York City just like breaking stuff, and then like Peter and Miles have to come up and like fight him and intercept him?
That's a really great question, Nick, and I actually have a wild tinfoil hat theory about this. And as we go throughout this trailer, I want you guys all to pay attention to how many cars end up getting broken by Venom, and we all know who we think Venom might be. It might be Harry, guys, and Harry hates pollution. And what do cars do? They contribute to fossil fuel emissions, and they're all sorts of destructive to the ozone layer. And so you can imagine that if Harry were to turn into Venom, he would be destroying cars because he's trying to save the environment or heal the world. I don't know, guys. It just kind of adds up to me.
Yes, that's a great theory. Now, of course, guys, he is joking. Like, that's not the actual theory that we subscribe to, but there are a lot of cars in New York City, and if you wanted to heal the world and stop pollution, breaking those cars would be a good place to start. But as we continue through, all jokes aside, we get to see just some of this awesome fight that takes place between Venom, Peter, and Miles. Of course, we see Venom leap at Peter and grab him here. And the big thing that I like to point out from this shot, Andreas, is just how much of an absolute unit Venom is going to be in this game. In the breakdown that we had posted last week, we talked about how you're going to be getting a lot more than 19 inches of Venom. It looks like we're going to be getting closer to 20 feet of Venom, because if you really extrapolate here and you think about him being fully stretched out and at a stand versus Peter right there, he looks to be 2.5 to 3 times his size. And we know that Peter is a roughly 5'9" to 6 feet tall, somewhere in that range. I believe he's like 5'10", 5'11"-ish. And we know canonically Venom is usually portrayed as being in that like 6'3" to like 7.5 feet range, somewhere in that 6.5 to 7.5 feet range. I personally have never seen in any comics, shows, movies, anything, a Venom of this magnitude and size.
Yeah, they are definitely creating a Venom here that is terrifying. Like, make no mistake about it, this Venom looks terrifying. He is aggressive. He is tearing the city apart. And his size really plays into that equation. And you could just look here with his big old smile and those Venom pearly whites. He's showing his teeth. This is a scary Venom that is really going to be intimidating in this game. And that is going to be a theme throughout this trailer. So I'm very happy that you pointed out his size, Nick, because that certainly plays into that equation. And I think this shot here really, really shows off how big he is, just because of how sprawled out he is here with all of his arms and legs just spread apart. And he goes ahead and slams Pete into the concrete here, and he's really kicking the shit out of Spider-Man here. Like, the two Spider-Men, they're struggling with this guy. He's actually giving them a run for their money. And on that note, we pick up with Pete here, and I want to take this opportunity, Nick, before we break down what we're actually seeing, to go over the dialogue that plays right at this point in the trailer. Pete says, "The city is being torn apart. I don't know if I'm strong enough to save it." And I think that's a really tender moment that we are seeing Peter in here, where he's down bad. He's being really kicked to the curb by this Venom character who's tearing apart the city. The city is not doing well. Things are falling apart for Pete and Miles here, and he goes to his emotional rock, which is he goes to the gravesite of his aunt and uncle. Of course, Aunt May, Uncle Ben, we all are very familiar with this story by now. And I think this is a really great moment where we have not just Pete here, but also in a second Miles. They're going to be checking in with the people that inspired them to put on the mask in the first place. And that's going to play heavily into this story this time around.
Yeah, the compelling story point and story beat that we're seeing from this trailer is both how terrifying Venom is and just how destructive he's going to be, and how it's really going to push Peter and Miles to their breaking point. You'll see throughout this trailer, when we get to see their faces, their suits are all roughed up, their faces are all roughed up. They talk about they don't know if they're strong enough to be able to do what they need to do to take this threat down. If you take a look in the background here, New York City is burning. It is destroyed. And Peter talks about how the city is being destroyed. Like, things are falling apart, and that is going to be a theme in this game. This is really going to be one of the biggest threats that our Spider-Man heroes are going to face. Like, Venom is no joke in this game, and that is clearly, to me at least, what Insomniac is trying to portray here, is just, this isn't a joke. Like, he's going to push these guys to the brink, and that's what we've heard from the interviews. It's what we've heard from the paragraphs from the PlayStation Store about Venom. Like, and here we're just really getting to see it for the first time visually.
And on that same note here, we get to learn Miles' key struggle here, and the point of dialogue from Miles as he is contemplating, much like Peter was contemplating in the prior shot, he is saying, "Do I have what it takes to protect the people I love?" And there's a lot of depth in this quote, Nick, because of course, he was powerless to do anything when his father, Jefferson Davis, died in Spider-Man 1. And so now that he has his powers, he has some mileage behind him, he he is really wondering, does he have what it takes to protect the people he loves? And then that really begs the question, who is left that he would want to protect? Who does he love? And of course, my mind goes straight to Rio. It goes straight to Pete, because of course Pete is now a close friend of his, and Pete is going to be struggling with the symbiote in this game. And that's really what's at stake for Miles here, is can he protect the ones that he loves? And I think that's a great theme here. And I like that they're really fleshing out the character and story side of this trailer. And that's really appetizing for me as I'm watching this.
Yeah, I completely agree. I really am interested and excited to get deeper into the personal lives and the personal struggles of both of our heroes. And just, it's a great way to connect on a stronger emotional level with these characters. And it's something that Sony and PlayStation have been so good at with their exclusive titles, is just really hitting on those emotional character moments and really making you just love these characters and connect with them. And it just makes the story beats hit harder and the emotional points hit harder. And I'm just so excited to see what Insomniac does, because they're such a great studio, and just seeing how they handle that. Their first true, next gen only game. I cannot wait. I know this game is going to be incredible. But as we continue, we get this awesome transition from Miles sitting on his bed contemplating to him throwing down one of his bioelectric Venom powers on Venom himself, or at least trying to. And then we get one of my favorite moments from this whole trailer. We get to see Venom's gigantic trebuchet arm, where he uses this 30-foot long arm to then throw Miles into the car and destroy yet another car. Now, Andres, there's one thing I do want to point out about this trailer, something that I noticed at the beginning when you see Peter and Miles swing into this trailer, is Venom is directly going for Peter. If you notice, when he grabs him, all of the attacks are directed right towards Peter. It's almost like Miles is an afterthought here. He's not even paying attention to Miles here. Miles is coming in for a strike from behind, and Venom just senses him, grabs him, and throws him to the side. But Venom's complete attention here throughout this fight is solely on Peter. It's just Miles is this annoying fly that keeps getting in the way and keeps batting him away, and Miles keeps coming back. But to me, it is clear that this is incredibly personal for Venom with Peter exclusively, which makes a ton of sense, because we're all pretty damn confident that Harry is going to be Venom, and there's going to be a breakdown in that relationship somewhere. We just are at least confident that the Venom is coming from the more Peter side of things, his relationship. So I just find it incredibly interesting that throughout this trailer, we see Venom really target Peter exclusively and just deals with Miles when he absolutely has to, when he gets in the way and stuff like that.
And on that same note, Nick, Peter does get involved in this fight once again, and we see Peter throwing this gadget at Venom. And Nick, what we did is we cross-referenced this gadget with the gadgets screen, which we saw during the State of Play trailer, and unfortunately the gadgets menu does not show off what all of the gadgets look like. But Nick, we have a pretty good idea based off of what the different gadgets are called in this game that this might actually be one of those gadgets, right?
Yep, you are 100% correct, Andreas. We believe that this is the Concussion Burst gadget. Now, of course, like you said, we didn't get to exactly see it, and the icon doesn't exactly look like this cylinder, but we believe that the name of it, plus this is clearly a gadget that Peter has, makes a lot of sense. And if you look at what it does, that is a concussion burst. That's what it does. It looks like a flashbang or a concussion grenade from Call of Duty. And the cool thing to point out about this is that you actually see the symbiote on Venom react because of the sound and presumably maybe even the heat that a concussion grenade would give off. You see the symbiote react very negatively, but very briefly. Venom is very strong. This does not stagger him for very long, if at all. It's mere milliseconds that it staggers him for. Clearly these gadgets are just not effective against Venom, and he just gets right back into the fight and right back after Peter. So now, as we continue through this fight, we get to see Venom now chase Peter onto the side of the building. He wants him. He is after him. And in the trailer that was leaked last week, we actually thought that this was where he slams into the wall and that's what knocks him off. But you actually see these tendrils chase him down the wall. This is incredibly terrifying looking. Chases him down and then slam into the wall. You see the extent of the range of Venom and his powers in this game. You are never safe from him. He will be able to get to you. And again, it just looks like Venom will do whatever it takes to get his hands on Peter. Now, one thing I am wondering and kind of hoping for in this game is that we see the verticality in these fights between Venom and Spider-Man that we see from this CGI trailer, where you'll see him fighting on the ground, you'll see them hit each other in the air, you'll see them running on the side of buildings. We kind of saw that in the Lizard gameplay that was released a few weeks ago, where you see it go from him chasing him through the air, web swinging, to fighting on the ground, and then surfing up the side of a skyscraper. I'm hoping we get to see something similar with Venom and Peter and Miles in this game, where you just get that verticality and the different points of views and the different environments to fight each other in. I just think that is one of the things that Spider-Man offers that is very unique to these superhero games, is just given his abilities, you can just really kind of go anywhere and everywhere. So I'm really hoping we see that in this game. And of course, you see Peter get ragdolled off of the building. It almost looks like he gets knocked unconscious for a second there. Like he is just falling to the ground, like very limp, and another car is destroyed, Andreas.
That's right. We all know that Harry is in there cheering because he just destroyed yet another contributor to the fossil fuel crisis here in New York. So just keep that in mind, guys. And on a more serious note here, I want to shift gears to a more emotional and tender point of this trailer. Of course, looking at the portrait of Miles and his father, and Miles says, "You never gave up." And I think this is a really great point, again, directing back to earlier, where we have two Spider-Men who are in a really tough place, and they're really looking for that sense of inspiration from the people who caused them to put on the mask in the first place. And of course, that inspiration for Miles is his dad, and he's messaging to his dad, or the spirit of his dad, that he never gave up, and therefore Miles should not give up when things are getting hard here with Venom tearing the city apart. So just more great emotional messaging here from the folks over at Insomniac.
Yeah, absolutely. And in this scene, we also get a pretty cool SpiderMan Easter egg. If you scroll a little bit to where it kind of illuminates the table, right there on the left, to me, that looks like a pamphlet or something for Empire State University. Now, of course, that is one of the big universities in the Marvel Universe in Spider-Man. That looks like the logo right there, the official seal for the university. It says State University. Pretty sure that is Empire State University. I believe we've seen that logo in the gameverse before in the past. So just a cool little Easter egg for Spider-Man. And of course, we know that Miles is struggling with his college entrance essays and all of that kind of stuff. And that's going to be playing into his personal life in this game. So just a pretty cool Easter egg to be had in this trailer.
And then on the Peter side of things, we return to the grave sites of May Parker and Ben Parker, and along with that, we have a line of dialogue from Pete saying that you never backed down. And of course, this is Pete resonating with the message from his aunt and uncle, and of course, we have the message from his Aunt May here saying, when you help someone, you help everyone. And again, this is Pete going back to the reason why he is having to put up with a force such as Venom. It is because of the messaging and inspiration that he received from his aunt and uncle. And then we have this awesome continuity shot showing Pete pulling down his mask, and it smoothly transitions into Miles pulling down his mask. And then we get right back into the action here with Venom just again, Nick, running at Peter here. So he is like targeting Peter yet again in this trailer, and we have Miles saving the day with his invisibility cloaking, and he catches Venom's hand before he just squashes Peter. Thank God for Miles here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the big thing I keep staring at here is, like, look how big his arm is, like his hand. Like, those claws, like, he's going to do some real damage to Peter here. Like, if he landed that strike, that's going to hurt. That's going to do some damage. And like you said, just another targeted attack at Peter, where Miles is like just a complete total afterthought to Venom here. It's like he is just zoned in on Peter and Peter alone, and Miles just has to keep coming in to try and give Peter just a chance to breathe, like catch his breath. Like, you can see the damage on Peter's suit, and he's on one knee. Like, he is clearly taking a beating here from Venom, and Miles is just trying to offer some sort of relief. He's not even really able to stop Venom at all. He's just like trying to give him a chance just to get back on his feet and get back into the fight. And that is exactly what we see here as Peter stands up. We get to see the new slingshot ability. We know you'll be able to do that in traversal in this game, where you'll be able to slingshot yourself forward. I do wonder if you will be able to do that in combat. I'm really excited for that. I don't know if we've seen that yet in the gameplay that has been released. If we have, then definitely let us know down below. But I'm really excited for the potential of that and the combos that you could have and the animations you could have with that. And we see it here paired with the spider arms. And then we get this really cool Miles ability where he uses the blue bioelectric power, and he does this like total release of electricity that is just going to be really cool to use if we're able to use it. And this is what finally knocks Venom down. Like, it takes that level of strike to knock him down. And it takes Peter doing another slingshot attack just to try and incapacitate Venom briefly. And we see him go flying into a Daily Bugle truck, another cool Easter egg from the Spider-Man universe. And we think, maybe for a second, we finally incapacitated Venom. Maybe he will be down and out for the count and we can, gain the upper hand as both Miles and Peter. But there he is, standing back up. Venom, in all his might, he's barely taken a scratch. It makes me think of, like Thanos from the MCU, where he's like all of that for a drop of blood. Like, it doesn't matter what these guys do. He just gets right back up and right back into the fight. And it's going to be incredibly exciting to see how that plays off of the mentality of Spider-Man, where it doesn't matter how many times he gets hit. It doesn't matter how hard he gets hit. Spider-Man always gets back up. Like, that's what's so inspiring about him and his character. And it's going to be incredibly exciting to see how that mentality plays with a physical manifestation of that, where it doesn't matter what you do to Venom, he just gets right back up and back into the fight. So I think that is a cool mix of the physical version of that thought process and the thought process itself. And the last thing I want to point out here, Andreas, is I find it really weird, I guess, that they keep using this location for the marketing and the concept art in this game. I'm pretty sure this is the exact same location where we saw the concept art for Kraven versus Peter and Miles back a few months ago when they released that concept art. It looks like the exact same location with the bridge in the background. So I just find it interesting that they keep using this exact location and like exact same time of day. I wonder if that was on purpose or if it was just a coincidence and just something that we noticed, but just food for thought.
And then as this trailer finally closes out, we get a nice little nod between Pete and Miles here. I love this moment. It's just like yeah, he's going to keep getting back up and we're beat to shit, but we're just going to take another run at him. And then they kind of go straight into him full force with the bioelectric Venom powers and the iron arms here with the tagline "Be Greater Together." And this is when we have the mic drop lines of "This is my power, my responsibility," and then both Nadji Jeter and Yuri Lowenthal say in unison, "I am Spider-Man." Such a cool ass way to end this trailer. I love it. And on that note, guys, let us know in the comments down below exactly what you all think of this trailer. If you noticed anything that we missed in our breakdown, let us know. Or if there's anything that we pointed out that you found helpful or useful, be sure to let us know as well. However, that's going to do it for this one. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, we will see you all next time.